already run a business of some variety, which includes freelancing, doing your own thing, launching a website that made you $1? That's enough. Nice. Is anyone like your business is your main source of income? All right. How many of you guys are like stressed out about it? Anyone? A little, sometimes. I've been running startups for about 10 years. I fell into it accidentally, and I've run a bunch of different kinds of companies. I've run lifestyle businesses, I've run serious venture-backed tech startups, a bunch of different things, and it's been really interesting for me how you prepare yourself for kind of a career in entrepreneurship and how you go about setting up your first company in a way that's less risky. Because people always say, oh no, setting up a business, that's so risky, right? What if it doesn't work? Well, if you like bet your house on it and it doesn't work, that's really bad because you lose your house. But there's ways of doing it more safely so that you don't risk very much. And then if it doesn't work, you go, well, that's embarrassing, and you try again. And that's not quite so awful. And this question of like, how do I start a business or how do I make a better business if you already have one? I think it's a bit of a trick question. It's not possible to answer it. It's like asking, how do I have fun? Well, I don't know. What are you into? Like, if you listen to someone's advice and they love jumping off mountains with a little wingsuit, you know, and you like chilling on the beach with a margarita, you're gonna have a really bad time if you follow their advice. There's not one type of fun, right? People like different stuff. Equally, there's not one type of business. There's lots of different ones, and they're built for different reasons. And if you talk to your friend who wants to build like a giant internet startup and take over the world, that's very stressful. Like, if you want to practice your art, you know, and have a business around yourself that lets you work on your art, following their advice is going to ruin your life, right? Because you want different types of businesses because you have different goals. In some cases, just getting away from a boss immediately creates so much purpose. You know, I know so many people, and I'm like, why do you want to start a business? And they're like, I'm tired of making my boss rich. You know, that's it. Or they're like, I'm tired of corporate bullshit. And they just want like less bullshit in their lives. That's a good enough reason, and that makes it purposeful, right? It's like trying to build your own house. You wouldn't necessarily want to get a job building houses, but building your own house for yourself has a lot of purpose to it innately because you own it and it's for you. So awesome. I'm sure you saw, maybe yourself, a lot of your peers, you end up in advertising, and then some of the, you know, that's great, it's a good career. But it's not always the creative freedom that, you know, you set out for. And one of the benefits of building your own company is that you can define what you do. Now, it's hard, right? If you go and what you love making is like stupid and no one wants it, you're not going to be able to make a living doing that, right? There's a compromise between what people want to pay you for and what you believe in doing. But if you're creative about it, you can find a way to make that compromise work. So those are great. Those are all totally valid reasons. The kind of three big buckets I put startups into is they pursue one of three goals. They're either trying to get as big as possible, like they want growth. And growth isn't always like taking over the world to make tons of money. It can also be, say you want to spread clean water. That's a good cause, and you would want that to be as big as possible so that you can reach the most people possible, right? So when you're doing that, you're looking for technology, and you want it to be a product, and you want it to be really scalable. Reliability is a different path. In reliability, you're most concerned about like, how can I pay my rent this month? And how can I make sure that running my own business is not some crazy gamble, but it's a steady, predictable way for me to get paid more and buy a house and support a family. You know, maybe you're never going to be on the cover of magazines, but you can have a brilliant career working for yourself and building for yourself. And obviously, different types of businesses support both of those. And the last one is freedom. The most common ways people use this freedom, like young people tend to use it for traveling. They go, I want a business I can run from anywhere. And then it's them and their laptop and all of the world's beaches, you know? And they bounce around running their little business. These types of businesses tend not to be able to make very much money. So part of what you have to do is reduce your expenses. This is also the type of business for artists. They go, I just want to be able to work on my art, and I want to create enough of a business around myself so that no one bothers me and I can just do my thing. So these types of businesses, they look different in the way they make money. The yellow line, which starts off in a really bad way, is what it looks like when you're building a scalable company. Because in order to get scale later, you need to figure out something that works repeatedly. So you need to either set up a factory, or you need to do the design of a physical product, or you need to build the website and the app. There's a lot of things you have to do before you start making money. And often what you're doing is new, so you don't even know if people want it or not. So you can spend all this time investing and setting up the manufacturing, and then you go, I'm ready, and everyone goes, we don't care, and you go, no. And then you go out of business, and it's sad. But if it works, it scales, right? You've built that into the idea from the very beginning, so it's very exciting, because if you make an app, if you make Angry Birds, and it works, everyone in the world buys it, and then your biggest problem is whether to buy a helicopter or a plane. You're like, The other ones, the green line is kind of the reliability path. You're focused on not what the flashiest or most interesting idea is, but what's an idea that can be profitable quickly. And then, the art one, it's just, or the freedom, it caps off a lot sooner. I want to talk about each in a little bit of detail, and then we'll get into thinking about what, you guys want to do. The main quality of scalable startups is they have the potential to grow extremely fast. And they tend to depend on investors, because you're so focused on growing really fast that often you choose not to worry about making money. Because if you can reach an extra 100 million people, sometimes that's more valuable in the long term than worrying about how do you pay rent. So once you show that it's growing really, really fast, you go to these investors and you go, hey, give me $10 million. And they go, okay. And then you waste it. And the way you get paid, you typically don't get any money. I've had times when my company had millions of dollars and I was still eating spaghetti every day because I couldn't afford real food. Because your company has the money, you don't have the money. You typically don't really, you don't get wealthy until you succeed so much that you sell the entire business to someone else. And then you're super rich for life and never work again. But it's very hit or miss, because if that doesn't happen, you've basically got nothing. Yeah, and if it doesn't work out, you just start another. They tend to be pretty difficult. Most of them don't work, because you're trying to do this really big thing. So, you get over it not working. My first 3 just were total failures. So let's put this into the bucket of just the wrong idea, or an idea people don't want. And this is a problem, but it's not necessarily the worst problem, because I'll tell you, most startup ideas, most business ideas are totally stupid at the beginning. Everyone's idea is stupid. You're wrong. That's the starting point, is that it doesn't work. And over time, as people use it and try it, you gradually figure out what they want and what they like, and you make it better. That's why businesses take 5 years. If you could start with a perfect idea, it would be easy. But you can't. You start with a dumb idea, and then you gradually understand why it's dumb, and you make it better. And you try not to go broke in the meantime.